So we got to look at the system that's current, right? And it seems to be favoring profit as opposed to favoring a good life. And isn't it that most people want a good life? Yeah, sure, it's going to have difficulties in it, don't get me wrong. But if we build a system based, this is part 3 to the previous video, it's a follow-on, and to the first video, it's a follow-on. After all, if we truly do live in a democracy, then can we get to choose things? So we look at social shops, yes? Social housing. Every time you shop in a shop and you buy something from the store, not only are you putting into a individuals that are running the shop, sure, so that they can be propped up to continue bringing you the things that you like. Every time you buy a product from there, the rent that they pay goes back into the tax pot. So you get to support better shops. And with these shops, they pay back into the pot. I mean, that sounds pretty good to start with. Now, what can you do with this tax? Well, then you can go to space, different things like that. We can even build better education systems that can be based around society. See, at the moment, I think the education system's based around the society that we've got currently, but we would want to evolve into a new kind of society. And in order to do that, we're going to need a better education system. So we understand that holograms are probably going to be the next thing. I think the first one I saw was in a Dr. Dre concert where they made Tupac come up. That's a type of hologram, and that's pretty good. And I see that and think, wow, that's amazing. But could you imagine that inside a school where all the kids get round a particular desk where all of the planets come up on a hologram, and these will be connected to satellites? I mean, if we put into a centralized government pot and we were to build some nuclear powered satellites, we could orbit these around the planets, the moons, indefinitely. Let's say if we could build the technology to do so, and then just at a press of a button, you can zoom into the particular planet that you want, or the moon, and then start to see it. I mean, check out some other videos, it goes a bit more in detail with that. Each kid sits around and there's a little bit of a microphone. Nice chair all the way around. A good little screen in front of them as well, that allows them to talk, exchange ideas about how to get there, what things could get there. And then to have the money to build this, you're going to need a comprehensive tax pot. Well, if we've got a centralized tax pot, a world pot, they can go on to buy the resources needed to put this out into space. And then we get better education that goes forwards. And then if we've got some on the Earth as well, lots of them, and then it zooms into just the Earth at different locations, and then they could in real time build up new sort of structures, which I think this education prepares them quite a lot. Because if you think about it, it starts with satellites, then the kids get thinking, and they're going to grow up. Maybe they'll go on to a university with the same type of process in it, and then they can start brainstorming. What happens if we use a solar panel? You can be taught all of the things that you need. You can have a little hologram each for the kid at their particular desk that pops up as a little helper. It helps them understand solar panels and what these can do, and if they can go here, here, and here. And then we can make a solar vehicle, a solar excavator, either or. It's a bit more strenuous. Rocket technology is sort of a bit more up there. But the stuff that goes onto the rocket that gets deployed on planets, man, kids could do this. And then as they grow up, their ideas are going to evolve over time, and they're going to expand upon it. But they're already going to be taught it. Now, that comes from a comprehensive tax pot in order to get more resources to build. Now, what happens if you create mobile phones? Think about it. If you've got your own social media type profile, a social media that's based on kids' education and this sort of stuff, and then there's the adult social media as well. We understand for good reason. One can be monitored in real time, and also it'd be favoring education and really comprehensive education. But this is going to need some good paid jobs to do this. But rather than being paid by a corporation, no. The CEO is the tax pot. It becomes like a new system or a comprehensive system. And then you've got the world pot. That goes on so that we can all use these satellites. Regardless where we are, if we paid into the pot, well, have at it. Doosh, press a button. You can have a look, teach, educate. But if we could build like a social media type structure that the work can be on part of the profile, that just a flick of the social media and the cube goes round and you're back at work, and then perhaps while you're in your leisure moment you go back to socializing with people and then switch it back, and you can build into this profile so that when you go back to your university or wherever else, it's put into the hologram. It can be doing this in the meantime, whatever it is you've put forward. And then if the kids build something, they can show what they've built in the hologram. The hologram understands, they work with the technology. They don't need to be able to know how the hologram's going to work, but this can be programmed so that anything they think up can then be built in the hologram, step by step if they want to, which then really gets people agreeing. I think this is a really good way to go forwards. But let's say we take mobile phones, for example. And we've got YouTube as a starting point, which again is Play Store and different things. One for kids, one for adults. Why not? Maybe one for people who are in residential homes. It's going to go that way anyway. But if you had a mobile phone, but the guts inside it can be interchangeable. I mean, yeah, sure, there's going to be technologies that's going to increase with this. But you keep the same phone, you just upgrade it's got to be a phone that can be upgraded. And I think that every time you buy this and put into this, that it goes into this. Because overall, can't we all benefit from this? Every single one of us. At the moment, the current structure is the one that's dead set. And I hate things that are dead set because it doesn't adapt. It adapts to a way that puts a lot of money in one person's pocket. Now, whether inherently that's bad or good, but again, when we have money building up in a certain area, you've either got to make more money and then more money gets collected. It seems kind of pointless. Or you've got it going into a pot as the CEO. The governing CEO becomes the pot. Now, whether that is able to pay for better paid jobs, better paid services, structures like this, rockets, technology, exploring the moon, having robots on the moon building things whilst you wear a suit and you can build this. But if you think about it, if your fridge breaks, rather than it being a CEO and too expensive because it's a type of brand, why not have it so that it's generic and you create your own brand, your own signature on it? It's a fridge at the end of the day. You know, all fridges are the same. Underneath all of the stick, the concept is exactly the same. Why would you want to put it into a company when you could put it back into a system that can go on to create better ideas that give us all an opportunity to be able to buy the next thing? And sure, resources, we're going to need to line resources up for this. But if we've got a comprehensive space program going, we're bringing back resources, we're sharing resources. More resources means more building. More building means that we have more access to this stuff. Equally, fairly, worldly, everybody has a shot at it. And then there's no more classes, in literal classes, in the type of class. There are better paid jobs, because you're getting a generic wage, but if everything's in a type of socialistic structure, if you've got this type Facebook page, or if you're into videos and whatnot, I mean, that every time you put a concept out, it belongs to you. And the laws protect this, that everyone has that fundamental agreement that it's protected, and it's shared out. You want to be leaving seeds. Seeds grow. hunter-gatherers, we're still harvesting those crops. You know, and the concept come from, it would be nice to be able to identify individuals from the past. It's not about ego and making a name, but it's nice to be remembered for a bit for what we all did. And at any time in this system, when people look back through history, because it starts creating a beautiful history, one that's accurate. Who coined that phrase? Who made this bit possible? And then you look back and then you see the seed. Okay, and then you can learn something else. Who did this, this and this? Well, this person was the one that made the seed possible. These people put into it, which then grows this. And I think that teaches children in real time. And then I wonder, how does a generation look 50 years from that point? 100 years from that point? How does society change? Are we more better together? Are we more happier as beings? You can think about it as residential homes. Also have another one. Beep, comes up. Real time. It works so that you might not be able to dig something up when you get to a certain age. Mentally you're able to, but physically your body, it sort of ties down as we get older. Some people don't have this, but most people do. And you probably don't want to overdo it or run any unnecessary risks. So the younger generation could also help to build certain farming, even if they're growing something, or whatever it is they like to do, a hobby that makes it so much more easier for you to do. And you've got to think about it from a mindset that we're all heading this way. And if we're all going that way, wouldn't it be nice to live out your last days at the best abled? The body may wind down, but the mind didn't. We can feed that. Keeps us a little bit more, I say sane, I don't want to say insane, but you know, or sane, but it does. It helps keep us focused, doesn't it? And society seems to be evolving this way anyway. Type mindset, mobile phones and technologies and different things like that. If you've had a companion with you, although it's robotic, a little hologram that comes up, you get to dress it up like a little avatar. But if it helps you to do not work, but live, but think, but store everything, store what you say, helps you to build upon that, it understands you, and it can be given a bit more better qualities than you can, that you have. And if you work back and forth off of this, is there a chance that you can excel your quantum mind? Is there a chance that you can then excel based on that your physical reality changes, not just for you, but for everybody equally? Now, the masses will probably agree with this, maybe. There will be a select number of the elites that would probably agree with this. There is going to be a small number that just will absolutely not like this at all. But man, I don't know, man. We're living a life that caters for a few and not everybody. And is it possible that working with technology that we can create a life that works for all of us? That we all get to benefit from that? And I think that we can. I think that it is really possible to do so. And we throw away a lot of stuff. I think it would be better if we could recycle a lot of stuff. Also, when it comes to food, right now we have to use a lot of energy to freeze this or eat it before a certain date. Can we not get better with fresher food that's already frozen in space? Worst case scenario, as opposed to throwing it in landfill somewhere. Worst case scenario, there's something floating around. A lot of it, if it's not eaten. We want a good ratio. We don't want to overgrow because we don't want to compensate for waste. Waste creates methane. Methane is never a good thing in a planet. We throw away a lot of trash, and bins are really, they fill up quite a bit. But can't we have some type of recycled society? Because we'll be living naturally to the universe. Recycling, you know, we can fuse together a load of stuff, but can we defuse the bits that are broken, keep what's there, and then infuse something that starts to work again and send the old bits and defuse it further? Ah, it was broken here. Okay. We can remove that little piece there, as opposed to a whole freezer. Can we reuse it again? Can we upgrade it? Can we make it so that it's built in such a way that all of the parts go into it? So that if it ever damages with the styrofoam, rather than it being stuck to anything, it's slide in. Can we then take that out and replace it with a new piece? Because I think that the less we throw away, that's looking after resources. I mean, I wonder how much we threw away back in the day when we took it for granted. Because now we call them rare earth minerals. We want to find rare earth minerals, which then become abundant universal minerals as opposed to them being rare. And if we can't find them, we should be asking a question. Can we make them? If they formed here on Earth, and we figure out how they formed, and let's say if it was made from salt water and a little bit of this and a little bit of that ingredient, can we not get one of the moons out there at Jupiter robotically to recreate these rare earth minerals? It's further away, yes, it will take time to bring it, but it's a safety factor. We don't want to do this on the Earth, just in case it goes wrong. We don't want to be living in a wrong experiment, that's just ridiculous. But if we can do it on a moon, meh, it's far enough away. And again, if the place is inhospitable to live anyway, what's the harm in that? We've got lots of gases here that we can use. Can we fly these through the sun and get it to crush these ingredients the deeper into the sun, the star we go? Can we convert these ingredients into metals, precious elements? Can we create an artificial planet on the small scale and put in all of the ingredients that are on the Earth and bind these together in such a way that we then start making the rare earth? So that the future can look back and say that this was the time when we record this on here and this database is being stored. This was a time when it was rare. Now we're making it. We're making it in abundance. And now the next generation that come, when we've mastered this, they're going to look at that and think, I wonder what it was like to live then when it was rare. Well, it was horrific. We had to learn a lot about sharing. Sharing don't work too well, but if we created in abundance and got together, we could probably make some. And then when we start to make some, we can make more, and then before you know it, Pandora's box is opening up to you. And then it becomes a question of, how much do you need? And then with all of this rare stuff, can we recycle it? Because I think being thrifty with that, recycling, I mean, taking that lesson from hunter-gatherers, not quite the same, where they made use of all of the animal that they would take, but that's just how it was back then. If they brought down an animal, they had to utilize all of the animal. There was very little waste, hence why we find very little traces of them. It's almost like they weren't here. They were, but because they were so thrifty, because they were so creative, and because they didn't waste much. I mean, we've got markers, certain markers where we've got those where they went down to the seaside and everything else, coastlines, and they were eating there. The only reason why we know that they were eating there is because there's all of this shells, the mineral mounds, I think that's what they called it, I can't remember per se, and that's an indicator of the first waste pile we really see. And again, I bet that is a small percentage of what they had. I bet they made all of this into fine decoration. Did they even coat themselves in shells? We just simply don't know, because anything that would have been made to hold these together, and even the shells themselves, don't last forever. I think this stuff would have been destroyed quite easily. I think they would have put a lot of stuff to good use. I really do. Now, that's the only sign of really what they left behind. I mean, even bones. If they were carving bones, we found some remnants of carvings, but the rest of it, it's lost to time. And again, to dig down to the Mesolithic is quite a substantial amount of earth you need to move, and anything beyond that, it gets more and more challenging, I would say, to dig this up. And the more thrifty they became, the less evidence that there is. You often forget that if humans left the planet now, and there are a few left, and times change and they started digging down, the one thing they're going to find is all of our waste products. I mean, it's insane what we chuck away. And that would be very evident that, whoa, there must have been loads of people. What the hell is this stuff? First, you've got to work it out, but still. So we say rare, but we often got a lot of abundant stuff, and a lot of that abundance is so abundant that it's abundant in the ground. So again, the hunter-gatherer's idea of it was that if they didn't respect and do this with the animal, then the animal spirit would never go on. And they lived inside a balance as well. They knew they had to be respectful of the food that they eat. There was a lot of respect for the planet, and it was often looked at as sacred. The animal spirit couldn't go on if you disrespected the animal and didn't utilize all of it. The same with nature, and also food. They understood that it grew, and it grew rapidly at different seasons, hence why they traveled a lot. And I think they built shacks, type shacks. I think these houses were pretty good, actually, by the way. And I think they built them out of natural resources that it's hard to distinguish once you've got a lot of layers built up on it and it falls back down. What a load of sticks look like versus what a structure looked like. So I've built a lot of structures out of sticks, and some of them in my memory are absolutely freaking beautiful. And you go back after a few years, and nature being nature, it breaks it all apart. And yeah, because there's no one there to maintain it. And it's hard to tell where it was that I actually did it. I've got a rough idea of where it was, but again, and then when I start to look at it, I see it. Now I'm starting to see it. It was around this area here. Now you see, because that's so natural, if anyone came across it in its former state now, in its state that it is in present, then they would just dismiss it as a group of dead branches. You wouldn't think nothing of it. But seeing it together, then people would see that and be like, whew, wow, that's pretty cool. But at the same time, that's the type of level of recycling that they were doing. Was it about capability? Probably not. It was probably more about this. They were very respectful of things and knew that the balance of everything. They were very in tune with that. We've lost it along the way. It doesn't matter terribly much. But it starts to matter when things start to build up to a point where it's like, what's this stuff going to do if it hits the core? We know that it recycles under. So if we can build things that are 100% built in a way that's in a strategy, clip it all together, a bit like Lego. Can you take it apart? Can you rebuild it? It's got to be more than Lego, I think. But each piece connects to the other. And then if anything goes wrong with any of those pieces, we can just remove it, replace it. If the metal gets dented, well, can we do something with that? Probably not. Do we need to melt it back down? Can we heat it back up and pop it out and put it on a next product while swapping it out for another? It's going to be sold anyway. And if it goes back into a pot, this pot should be a self-fulfilling prophecy, this here, that it should always be giving back something. And when you put back into it, and even the recycling should be this way, that everything that we put back can come back, and then you can put it back, or you at very least swap it for a current model, and then this one can be taken apart in such a way that we can upgrade processors. I think it seems barbaric in the moment, but is it possible that we can build a device that can have upgrades? And these things become a secondary to the device if these things are the things that are upgrading. Again, somewhere along the line, what about the updates to allow things to work on there? At the moment, we see it so that you have to buy the next device. If not, certain apps won't work on it. And then you got to throw away something that's not really broken. And what can you do with it after you've, if it doesn't work with the apps or it doesn't update? That's a profiteering margin. If you were in this pot, do you really need that? You could say yes, but why do I need to throw away something that I've looked after for, 10 years or whatever it may be? Can I not send it off to be upgraded? Or, at the very best, can I not take away all of the stuff that's on it that belongs to what I understand, that operates the app. Send that one once I've received another one and clock back into this, and then it continues functioning. And then because I've looked after that one and somebody else has looked after that one, it goes off into the process to be remade and then can be swapped for somebody else. But the bit, because you know, it's a pain in the ass to update it and then go in through all your passwords and everything. Can't you keep it on a chip, much like a SIM card? It lasts as long as it is. You just need to take that piece of data or card or whatever it may be and just clop straight into another device and off you go. More powerful. Do you need to pay for that? Yeah, sure. But does it need to be like brand new price? Well, if we're recycling in this way, it brings down price and it reduces waste. And then rare earth means rare earth then, doesn't it? Because then we can make rare earth mineral content or whatever it may be. And now we've got an abundance of it because we're utilizing it in such a way. And then we could say, my granddad had this pad. He did? Yeah, been swapping it out for this long. Oh, wow. Yeah, my great-grandma had this one. Or my mom had this one and gave it to me, blah, blah, blah. XYZ, so forth and so on. And then it becomes sentimental in a way. Could you imagine just sending it off and it being fixed right there and then for you? I say fixed. Swapped out with the components, take it into a shop somewhere, one of these social shops. Alright, there you go. That will be 20 quid, 40 quid, whatever it may be. And you can take it back. Sentimental as anything, that is, isn't it? No matter what breaks on it, no matter if it breaks down, wow, yeah, we got parts, come on, bring it in. We'll slot you in now, how's that? Time is of the essence, we know how you don't like to be without these things, bring it down now. And again, comprehensive jobs that bring a purpose if people want to do it, or you just post it into a machine and the machine quickly does it, and then it sort of prints it back out. Oh, thank you very much. Off you go. Yeah, back to normal again. Yeah, ain't got to worry about keep changing your passwords. And then, I don't know if encryption works too well with this, but there you are, key from one key to another. No, I don't know, but it gets a little bit more comprehensive in this way, and it makes rare earth minerals go further because we're recycling. Now, what can we build with the other stuff that we've got left? Well, we got enough to do this with, I suppose, and a little bit of that. I think this is a good way to be. This pop should be a self-fulfilling prophecy, and whatever goes in has the potential to come back in another format. So the more you put into this, you didn't have a space program before, now you've got one. You didn't have opportunities to traveling, you had an opportunity to travel around the world, sure. But now you've got an opportunity because you've got a space program from it that you could probably have a honeymoon on the moon. Maybe. Solar farms, I mean, that is something. Every time you put into this, it's potential to give back. Maybe not necessarily right now, but future. And damn me, if you believe in reincarnation, we gotta start betting on this. Because if we're coming back here and it's like this again, no. Yeah, you're alright, thanks God. I'll pass. Yeah, gee, you gotta understand that. Now, we don't know for sure. Nah, it's not something I believe in truly. But again, if you do, then yeah, this is up your street then. I'm doing it just in case we come back. Okay then, that's good. Whatever it takes to feed that. And then we don't need to argue over stuff because we can help each other in this. And then before you know it, once we're putting into this pot, where does it start? It starts with a pot, it starts with rent, it starts with houses, it starts with shops, it starts with all of the things that you could possibly need, where there's no corrupted incentive on it. You know, if we can make something, let's say for argument's sake, a toothpaste and a mouthwash that actually does what it says on the packaging, more so than we've ever seen. And the pot is also responsible for paying for this with your whatever every time you buy this product, there's a little bit on top of it to put in the pot. I don't know how that works, but we can figure this out as we go along. Every time you buy that and it actually works, then there's less need for dentistry. There'll still be need for dentistry, however, but wouldn't it be nice to have retained dentist, someone in the community? I'm a part-time dentist when anytime anyone needs me, but other than that, my other job is this and this, where my passion is at. Maybe your passion is pulling teeth, but I'm pretty sure that even people that pull teeth have a side passion, a hobby that they really want to run into, and that's where it is. Where we've got play, we've got experimentation, and where we've got experimentation, we can often have a breakthrough, and this breakthrough could be very beneficial to everybody from this pot, that then is beneficial to the individual, that just by playing around with something, they figured something out that then became widespread for everybody to have it. And then they've got their little token in history as well. It's protected. If they don't want to pursue it and make it so that it goes for everyone, then they've got an option to pop it in there. I think that this becomes more of a selfless rather than a selfish society, and how would that be? Can you ever imagine that? Where we're all doing a bit better each time, because I think we've got to evolve towards that. And it starts with all of these little things, and then it starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and before you know it, it seems very futuristic, but it's highly possible. If all the world get around this, we all got a place, and we all know our place. By then, we should be well into this. What happens if we start building our own version of Earth? We find in this process of kids sitting down and doing this, a small seed, that then we're able to find lots of radioactive material, let's say. And we can compress this and it makes a lot of light, that then we can control how hot that is in that happy medium, as opposed to waiting for summer to roll around. We keep it in a happy medium that then goes on to feed nature in this ambient temperature. And we're also living in this ambient temperature. Do you ever notice that how humans like to live? If you ever bring a plant in from outside, do you notice how abundant it is? Man, I got a lily it went extinct eons ago. And it is producing flower after flower after flower. It's cloning, it's doing all sorts. I mean, it's something that helps depression. And every time it flowers, it makes me smile, it makes me feel good. And the amount of times that it keeps flowering is incredible. And all of that is from out in the wild, it was going extinct. But inside a house, it's thriving. And then if you bring in other plants that contain fruit or veg, and these thrive as well. I mean, isn't that fascinating? It's like really interesting that you can have an ambient temperature that you like, and my word, nature enjoys it too? Well, that's funny, isn't it? That's like a pattern I can't ignore. And then, not only does nature thrive, if you get even the slightest bit of caterpillars, right? There was one season I brought them all in, and I was attempting to grow them, and it was really successful. But it also created an abundant habitat for caterpillars. And then there are freaking moths and butterflies in the middle of winter inside a house, and it was incredible. You don't see it outside, you only see it in the summer, spring, summer sort of time. But now, in a particular winter, I had an abundance of this stuff, and chrysalises and all sorts. It was really great. And as much as they were in the house as well, and plus the plants were producing and were feeding them, and they were flowering, and it was just like it's their own little system. And it was so successful that the plants were producing more leaves than they could eat as caterpillars. Oh my god, they're hungry little things. But I noticed the plant triggered on this, and it began producing even more leaves, and the roots got a lot more denser, and the nutrients it was pulling in amplified a lot more. I mean, it was incredible. It was just by bringing it into an environment that is just right for humans, and it happens to be just right for nature, but now it seems to be just right for insects, just right for animals. And it almost is screaming at us from a evolutional sense, or it poses two questions. One, was this in God's plan? God, spirituality, whatever you believe, divine, was it in your plan? Or did we land here with this, and that's where it knows it from? And some things are so successful, spider mite, oh my days, they are pain in the ass, I'm not gonna lie. And they cover absolutely everything. They explode in their numbers. And garden spiders seem to really like it quite a bit. And even though there were spider mites nibbling into that, there was a sweet residue coming out of the plants from the spider mite. And I could taste this as well. It's really sweet. I can see why they do it. It's a good job they don't have any teeth. And the actual garden spiders were getting a go on that. That was a strange thing to see. So that was really, really strange, to be honest, because I thought that they were sitting on their webs waiting for flies, which they will. Anything that lands in that web is fair game. It's theirs, right? But also, and I don't know if it was because they were trying to drink, because there wasn't much in the way of dew on the web, but there were, I don't know, very sticky it is. I'll get some pictures up of this at a later date. There was like these teardrops, and it was, I had to have a go. I just needed to know what was keeping them going at that so much for. And it was really sweet. It was really nice, actually. It was close to honey, the liquids that were coming out. And the garden spider, quite a big garden spiders, there was loads of them. They were also taking some of this as well. And it was a very interesting thing to see the spider. It was almost like it was strawing it out. It was crazy. Which, there again, makes sense as to why they make webs near this. And the spider mites trigger off this sweet response. And then the flies detect this sweet response. And then it feeds the bigger spiders. So the little spiders doing their little thing that they do are attracting flies for the bigger spiders. I mean, that's pretty cool, actually, to be fair. So, strange. But in the garden spiders drinking that, do they stay alive off of it? Is it giving them their nutrients? So yes, they're meat eaters, predominantly, but they also get their vegetables in a liquid format from spider mites that attack plants. That is interesting. That is just seasonal delicacy, I guess. And we do this too, don't we, when we tap trees? And again, if we've got another system where we're putting into the tax pot, if we ever achieve to grow forests underground, let's say, where we can put not toxic water, but wastewater, but we got to do it with a balance, into the area that doesn't kill the trees, and it's got no chemical in it, and the trees begin to suck this up, and we were to put a tap into the tree, could they purify that water that we couldn't drink? Maybe it tastes bad or whatever it is, but could they purify that water and give us a double dose of vitamin C? Minerals and vitamins. You see, there's been a decline in this over the years. So birch trees, lots of them. You can drink the sap from a tree. Don't overdo it because you'll kill the tree. But there's more than enough trees to do so. I mean, that's interesting. You don't have to do it all the time, but on off, on off. And what's amazing about that is the trees that I know that have been tapped grow bigger and produce more of this. It's almost like it makes them grow more. You would think that it would weaken them, right? Something tapping into it. But it actually almost activates something in the tree. And I've seen this with bees as well. That if you keep going to a bee's hive, they will purposely produce more honey, because when you take that honey that they've produced for any type of bear or you or humans or whatever, they produce more from the hive because they know that if they do it and give you a bit, you won't destroy the hive. So it's in their benefit, in a way, to create more than what they need and a little bit to spill out, because you would prefer to take that, and then anyone that's got a thought in there would not destroy the beehive completely, because they will feed you off of this. Ah man, that's amazing. When you look at these patterns for what they actually are, I find this fascinating. Absolutely fascinating that it's almost, they know that if they produce more, you'll leave the hive intact. The tree knows that you're going to tap it so it grows stronger, and it sort of makes room for this. And then I noticed that nature is very selfless. Although it seems very selfish. Spider mites, no. They come indoors and they can devour things, but give the plant a little bit of time and I think it triggers something. Sometimes they can kill a plant out. So. But if you water the plant and you spray down the plant goes into rapid growth mode and the roots equal to this. If you've got them in a pot and you're not putting nutrients back into the soil, the plant will deplete the pot or the soil, deplete the nutrients in the soil, which that's what causes them to die. The plant will die because there isn't enough to take in order to keep feeding these. So Again, very interesting. And certain plants trigger a overproduction of this sweet resin that comes off of them. It's incredible. And it overproduces it in a certain location, and the spider mites tend to cling to this area and stop then attacking the plant. So shades of grey with that one, but you've got to put nutrients into the pot. So outside there'd probably be a lot more nutrients for it to do that with, but it would run out eventually. That's the thing, and then that could have a knock-on effect to kill the plant. So keeping their numbers small is a good thing. Not completely gone, but small. And the caterpillars, well, they were hungry little things, and the same dip is there. But again, it just goes to show you how life can become quite abundant when it's given the right cycle, the self-fulfilling prophecy to run on. So there's a missing ingredient, and I think that we, the humans, are the missing ingredient into plants or trees or anything else like that. So isn't that weird? So if we eat natural and our nutrients goes back into the plant, it can then go to give nutrients to and around it goes. Now that's fascinating. That is interesting. But even still, it starts with small changes now that could potentially save our future. And then we're not limited to when the planet finally does begin to wind down. It's a long way away, let's say. And we're not held via the life expectancy of a planet, and we're not held by the life expectancy of the star, and then we're not held by the life expectancy of the universe, solar system. We're held by the life expectancy of this and our capability to do it, to think it up, and to be able to do it, and all come together with a system that allows us to flourish and have this self-fulfilling prophecy that then allows us to create our own Earth with our own star at a unique temperature that provides warmth and all of the beautiful blissy energy that we can get from a star, and also for nature too, which in turn will then go to feed us. And rather than it being fixed in one position, and this is long-term futuristic, but still it's got to start somewhere. Can't just build this overnight, but bit by bit making a system that works towards this. And humanity could build this not just for themselves, but for nature. Not just for nature, but for also all of the life forms that are on the planet. That's well within our capability. Converting the solar system into this, creating our own biome that's going to outlive the planet with pure water. And in with this water, it's going to be balanced farming. If we manage in futuristic that they find a way to create an artificial ocean on it, wonderful. Artificial rivers. Oceans are important because when it sweats, we all drink it. And then when we sweat, it goes back into the ocean. And then when that sweats, we'll drink it again. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Water is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Always. No matter what you do with water, it always goes back to water. It's beautiful. It's a prophecy over and over. We can put it into a gas, and it condenses itself back down and goes back into a liquid, and even if it's crystallized, it's the only one that you can crystallize, and it can turn back into water again. That's a very interesting thing, right? So most other substances on the planet, once liquid turns into a gas, stays into a gas. Again, if we condense some gases into liquids and certain things like that, water is the one that's the self-fulfilling prophecy. So life resides from water because of this prophecy. And it is two formats in one. It's yin and yang. It's salt water, nice, and it sweats, and it's very beneficial to some life forms, being marine life and different stuff like that. And isn't that interesting? It almost is sort of a part of the plan to keep animals in the water, the ocean water, to show you how important it is with the life in there, because of this process that it then begins to sweat. And then off of that sweating water, we'll drink it, and are we purifying it in a way? And then when we sweat it back out and it leaves, does it create a salt that goes back into the ocean? that then they feed off of, and then in their byproduct of whatever they do with that process, then it is excreted in sweat and everything else that then evaporates again for us to drink. And this is a prophecy. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's quite a beautiful one, but everything hangs in that balance. So it's teaching you that yes, we might need fresh water and it supports life, but we're also going to need salt water. Although we might not like it and it might not be, ugh, that's horrible. But if we were to just take pure water, what's to say that that won't toxic down after a while because it hasn't gone back into the main process? We don't want to miss the ingredients that are going into that, and there are some. And perhaps it needs the ingredients from us, all of us animals here and everything else, and humans and whatever else, and then when that leaves and it seeps through the soil and the trees and all the nutrients in that, that's why it's best to be pure. Less chemical based and more natural based. We should really focus on that. I think that that's an important thing, because then we're not leaching the chemicals, because we don't know what they're going to do. We don't know how they're going to break down, what they're going to react to. Yes, it can go inert. And again, inert, 1% maybe, mixing with another 1%, chemical reaction. Is it going to be an adverse reaction? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Have we been around long enough to even know what that is going to do? We probably want to get an edge and around that now, but we can't do it if we're favouring profit. We can only do it if we're favouring something that comes back. Give and take. Give and take. Same with the ocean. Ocean gives fresh water. We take fresh water, and we are giving out salt and different things like that. Sure, we need salt too. That's a sort of give and take process again. Light and dark. Light and dark. We got to give and take, give and take, give and take. It's great for hormones. Magnetism, give and take. Minus and plus, give and take. I think that when we understand that we're in this balance and recycling is giving and taking, I think that, yeah, life starts to go right as rain. As right as light. As right as light and darkness. And I think that we need to be able to be in that balance. And then, how does life pan out for us from a mental point? From an endorphin point? Let's say, for example, how does it make us more happier? Do we see the less of all of these strange defects that we seem to see in our... We're all capable, we're all susceptible to depression and different things like that. Now, are we creating it, is a question. Is our life the way it is? Is it sort of meant to grind us this way so that it stops us from being this way? That's a question and a half. And then if we adjust something and it starts to drop, then we can label that in history, that when things start to get like this, we learned back here, don't do this, we did it, and it didn't work. That this would indicate, this would be the first indication that something's not right, that we've lost the balance a little bit, and that we should get back into it. We did it by looking at this, 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 and this. And then, does it then begin to help a future generation not fall down that, or at least become aware of it quicker? For them to, just get a pothole, as opposed to us go down a frickin' valley before we get back up on the mountain. You can make a hell of a journey that way, can't you? That we have to go all the way down, and then now we're looking at a mountain that if we'd have stayed at level, the mountain wouldn't have been so bad to get over. But now we're seeing the mountain from a valley. Ooh, that's a hell of a rock face now we've got to climb back out of. It's not impossible. But rather than keep digging the valley whilst we're down there, what do we do in this valley? Let's just keep digging. Oh, all right then. Are you sure we don't need to go? No, let's just keep digging. This hole is not quite big enough. I don't think we've got enough problems. Let's just make a few more. Come on. So, yeah. And again, we don't know if we don't try. We've seen one way society is. And I think for most part, we can all fairly say, is it really working? Can we do better? I think we can. No, I think we can. But again, that shouldn't be an opinion for me to make. That should be an overall opinion for all of us. I don't know. We do a lot of strange things. Is it for the money? Or is it for the life? Is it for the experience? Or is it for the cash? Is it for notoriety? And then have we taught each other what to look for in this notoriety and then money? And have we then began to veer off because we're blinded by these things, and then this behaviors come every day? Ooh, that would be something. To find the balance and then be able to teach us to stay within it. Yeah, no, you don't want to veer too off one side. Oh, wait, get back over the other side, or it's starting to slip this side. Okay, now we just sort of get back over this side. I mean, that's a nice pattern. Perhaps not going completely in one side and completely in the other side. We want to be somewhere in the middle, and if we deviate slightly, I think that's a good pattern. Deviating like this, or deviating like this, I think that's pretty bad. Or being over here and just sort of like this, I think that they're bad graphs. We want to be somewhere in the middle of that. In the middle of the balance, we need to become the prop for that, so that we've got the scales either side of us. We know how it is. You know, if we got 2 pails of water and one's more full and one's less empty, we're going to be a little bit lopsided. But it'd probably be a bit better if we were a bit more 50-50, I suppose. We're going to do a lot less sloshing. And we're going to lose a lot less in the process as well. And then we've got more to gain. Why? Because when you get to the other end, look at that reward. Ooh, look at that reward. Oh, look at how much I managed to bring. And then somebody else is saying the same thing. Oh, yes. And then as a collective, we can say, look at what we have done. Mwah, chef kiss. Nice. Anyway, so I'm going to drop this one off here. I think that's where I wanted to hit it. Yeah, it is. It's sort of growing and growing and... Money is one thing. Trade is another. And if we do move towards a type of, not Star Wars, Star Trek, but there again, minus the fight, and if there is any in it, I don't know. If we're going to head towards that, we've got to make a lot of adjustments. I mean, where do we start? Well, we start by just doing little steps, and then the bigger steps become obvious as time goes on. And I think it starts with a decent education. I think that when we maneuver education and make it work for us, all of us, we might not have had that education, hey, but there can be some courses go on to do this sort of type of education. It would be nice if it was in every home. Pretty cool. Yeah, and then we've got different land masses here. The deserts are not really utilized. We could be utilizing those to do something, absorbing that heat into a type of device, let's say, that's growing food. How would you operate it? Well, it'd be like a little freaking game. Same in Antarctica and different things like that. Who can go and explore that with a bot? I mean, not to deplete it or do anything to it, but to go and explore and at least know what's there. It's hard for humans to go there without taking a lot of fuel plus food. How far can you get? Well, the answer is halfway. How long can you stay for? Well, that's limited to supplies. If you can grow stuff there, well, I mean, you can stay indefinitely around that sort of type structure. Same with a desert. These are places that are not utilized very well when it could be. And again, the sun. Not only if you were to build your own sun, your own star, let's say, and your own planet, it's not only going to be giving you a nice, lovely suntan, maybe, basking in that lovely light. It's also going to be feeding nature. Wonderful. Animals are going to love it too. But what about the other side of the star? After all, Earth only ever used a small percentage of the star while rotating, let's say. What about the other side of the star? Could we not be getting metal and forging it using the heat from it? Is it possible to do so? Where'd you get those glasses from there on Tesmond? Oh, well, these were made with moon sand, okay, and these were made by the sun. That brings a whole new meaning to sun and moon, doesn't it? Combine the two, and this glass was literally made by that. Lardy fucking da. But it'll be for everybody, but still, you know, still. Drink some wine in that. Why not? Just kidding, but still, you know, that would be an interesting thing. Or the metal that you've got for a particular object made by sun energy. That's interesting. Very interesting. Utilize that heat while you got it. Utilize the gases on the other planets that seem to be waste planets. Do you need it? Maybe, maybe not. suck in some of those gases and send it off over towards the star. Halfway empty. Nice. Melt some things with some bots if you can get close enough to do so. You can be further away and use glass. Interesting, really. Get a nice lens on there and multiple lenses at the right angle, and then hit that beam at pieces of metal whilst you get it into bite-sized sizes, and then you want to bring it back to the Earth if you're still on the Earth. How are we going to land it? Well, we're going to take nature's approach in this one. Yeah, what's that then? We're going to corkscrew it. It's just going to land down so gently, like it was a seed, ready to be growing. And when we mean growing, we mean within human minds, because we're going to grow the quantum with this metal that's now easier to shape. And then we take the foot off the accelerator on precious resources, don't we? If it's already in bite-sized, easy to smelt or mold, we're only going to, we might need to use this much fuel in the beginning to achieve that here on Earth. But now we've made it into a sort of shape that's easier to manage. We've managed to lower the fuel needed to make that into something by about this much. How long then will that last with the more you get it pre-shaped by the star? And then what once seemed like a little bit of resources now is becoming lots, because you only need a very little amount now. Could you cook from it? That's another question. How did you cook that? Where's this mill you got here? Well, it was grown in space farms, okay, and it was preheated by the sun. Oh, but what about the radiation? That's a good point. We used magnifying glass. We took some Mars sand. Why Mars? I don't know. It's just where we got down with a scoop. Made loads of lenses that were slightly angled. So we put that beautiful light. I mean, talk about never mind follow the light. How about you use the light? That's interesting. And we aimed all of these lenses in a certain way, in a certain angle, which created a nice big beam on a cauldron. Really? Yeah, we cooked it there. Pre-cooked it. I've got a ready meal that was straight from harvest, heated by the sun, cooked by all that goodness, and then we brought it to the Earth. And now all I do is stick it in my pinger. Or you just heat it up. Once again, how much resources have you just saved by doing that? You've heated it using a... Well, it's not even a fuel source. The fuel source is running away anyway from the star, the heat. You've just used your quantum mind to understand that if I take some sand, I can melt that down using the star. I can make some lenses using a robot. I can position these on a device that angles at a certain positioning, hit it at the cauldron, it gets nice and hot. Either or. I might be a warlock doing that then. Merlin. Just call me Merlin. Anyway, and then once that's heated and it's cooked, whatever it may have been, nice, beautiful, all you gotta do is warm it up. I mean, no chemicals, wonderful, no bacteria that we know of, and it didn't use any fuel. The only fuel you need is just to heat that up. This is pretty good. Whatever it may be, if people were eating meat still then, I don't know. Still, it's still nice to have a hot pot though, vegetable or otherwise, still be nice. But I don't think we're going to get this in this position, because we'll just monetize it and then it'll become too profitized. Now, I don't think the idea is to make something too profitable. It's to make it everyday and second nature. I think that's a better way to be. Because think of how many mouths we could feed with that. I mean, that could be an impressive amount. And at the quality of it as well. If it's fresh out of a solar farm, freshly cooked immediately, and then back to Earth it comes. Corkscrewing down, I say, sir. Alright, magnetic fields and everything else. Yeah, sure. This one's been magnetized. How does that look then? Is that good for you or not really? I don't know. We're sticking it in a microwave. Alright, good point, good point, good point. If we cook it with a fan-assisted oven, isn't that electromagnet anyway? Touche, touche. I see where you're going with that. I like your thinking. But still, What's the difference? And then, what about NASA? Do we need to send loads of rockets up for food? No, we got you it. Don't worry, we got you covered. Any other space program that's going on then? We got you covered. How would we freeze it? Yeah. Have you ever taken a thermometer in space? No. Well, maybe try it sometime, you know. It's a vacuum after all, isn't it? Isn't it really chilly up there? Minus 350 below zero. Good point. Good point. And then, how much energy have you saved in freezers? Would you need freezers? My God, we was thinking about recycling them just a minute ago. Now we just got rid of the whole freezers altogether. Yeah, well, oh well, how robust is your delivery service? Amazon, could you get that from this place here and deliver it to the world? That's possible. I don't know, anyway, still, thinking out of the box. Yeah, and then making things land in a certain area. That would be interesting. No matter how hard that wind is blowing, these things come down in a perfect line near enough every time. Anyway, I'll give you a slogan for it. Space food. Everyone wants it, you know, sort of thing, so... But yeah, I think it comes from this. Because the more of us there are, and why are we doing this? To feed everybody a decent meal? I mean, that could be pretty good. Miss out the middleman. Who's the middleman or woman? I don't know. A lot of cash incentive on it. Is it beneficial, isn't it? I don't know. Pointless jobs to make that happen. You know, just sort of move this open and there's a conveyor belt going by and we've made a problem in this conveyor belt so that we can pay you some small pennies. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't know about that. I just think that's a waste of time. But still, it is what it is. This could be something very new, and I think that with the education system being different, I think the possibilities are endless, really, they are. And then it really gets the pots cooking, and then when these little ones grow up and maybe further this in a career of doing this stuff, it becomes second nature. We're going to have pioneers everywhere, literally everywhere. Global pioneers, I mean, that's something. And then multiple... Geez, we're going to be like bees to a hive, but the planet's going to become the hive, and perhaps people and robotics are going to become the bees that go off and collect things. But we're not collecting from flowers, no. We're collecting from planets, which might as well be flowers, technically. And then we bring all of that so-called pollen, which is resources, back to the planet. I mean... We're reverse bees, really. We could be moths. But moths, are they collecting? No, it's more like bees. Fuck it, it's like bees. And we're going to make some honey, which is what? Not mahoney, but honey. Which is what? Well, we're going to build some things. We're going to build a better hive. Hive number 2.0, you know? Anyway, possibilities are endless. I'm going to leave this one here. It's been fun chatting with this. I enjoyed this. I really did. This was a nice... memory coming out here. I don't know, whatever. Improvisation. Who cares? It is what it is.